This is a video that a lot of you have asked for. How I increased my recovery main metric by 75%. Hi, my name is Caroline Drury, founder of the Beyond Before and After Fitness app for women, co-founder of Macropath AI, the AI app that just tells you what to eat. And I'm also an athlete running the Great World Race, which is 7 marathons in 7 days on all 7 continents this November 2026. Before I fully committed to running the Great World Race, I spent a good number of months really talking to myself about what it was actually going to take for me to do that. I knew it would be a lot of training. I knew I'd have to have my nutrition right. I knew I would have to be strength training. Thankfully, those things were already in my wheelhouse. My weakest component was my recovery. Not because I wasn't capable of it. It was just that for me, like so many other people, it is the most unsexy, unrewarding, unfulfilling, unmeasurable part of training. And for people like me that like to check boxes and measure data, recovery isn't really measurable. It is so subjective. So before I paid my first deposit to run the Great World Race, I practiced what I was actually going to need to do to give recovery an equal seat at the table with nutrition, strength training, and running. 2 years ago, I learned about HRV. HRV stands for heart rate variability. It is a number between 20 and 120. It is not a scientific scale. It is a scale by which we can measure trends. And what that trend is milliseconds in between your heartbeats. What this signifies is how your body's nervous system is recovering from the stress of the day. So that's work stress, family stress, internal stress, training stress. So this was a metric I started paying attention to because it was the most measurable part of my recovery that I could track day to day and on an ongoing basis and watching the trend of it over time. I want to be super clear. This is not a medical graded scale. This is lightly scientific. There's a lot of people that are pro HRV and there are a lot of people that say it's trash, throw it out. So I'm taking all of those opinions. I would like you to form your opinion. So what I decided to do for myself, like I said, watching the trend of it over time, but not relying on it as the holy grail. Just using it as part of my measurement tools to measure how my body is recovering from the stress of training. You can measure by an Oura ring, WAP, which is one of those recovery kind of bands. My Garmin, I have the Garmin 965, and a number of the Garmins will track your HRV. A lot of people don't like the watch because you have to wear it overnight. It doesn't bother me. That's why a lot of people do like the Oura ring. But regardless of which system you use to track it or which device, when I started, my HRV was 40. Remember, the scale is from 20 to 120. So I thought to myself, well, this is on the low end. However, a lot of people on the low end actually feel okay because it's highly individual. Though, when I started really paying attention to how I was feeling, there were a lot of indicators that suggested that I had just gotten used to living with my bad recovery. Waking up a lot in the middle of the night, odd digestion, mood swings, feeling more achy than I should on an ongoing basis from my workout, stiffness, things that we can actually defer to other things like perimenopause. If you're a guy, whatever guys go through. But I decided to dive deeper into this because when I got really honest, I wasn't feeling optimal. And it always felt like I was dragging my last workout into my next workout. Like I never fully got recovered. I never went into each workout feeling as fresh or refreshed as I could. That 40 HRV for me was really like a check engine light. It was like, bing, 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 bing. We need a system maintenance here. We need cooling off here. We need something. My sympathetic nervous system was trying to tell me we are not getting enough support to recover from what you're doing. Help. We need somebody help. That's what it was saying. And since I'm mid-40s, I can still-ish get away with it. But I knew that over time, I was not going to go anywhere good. I'm going to walk you through today the things that I did to increase that metric by 75%. I started in my low 40s was my average. Now my average is about 75. And I will say the correlation, the subjective correlation is I feel so much better. sleeping better. My workouts feel so much more fresh. My digestion is better. My mood is better. I'm able to emotionally regulate better, probably because I'm getting better sleep and doing all the things. And the best thing about all of this is that it is totally within my control. That's what I loved most about it. Everything that I did was not because I purchased some sexy supplement, something that some influencer or some longevity specialist was trying to sell me. I focused on food, the most non-sexy supplements, my habits, and sleep. The first thing I did was I looked at my food. In my early 40s, 25% of my diet coming from fat calories was enough. But as I dug in deeper to what the body really needs for support during perimenopause, which I am in, I'm 45, all of the reading was saying that I needed more fat. So I just thought, well, what have I got to lose? And I realized I bumped up against old diet culture conditioning from the 90s of that fat makes you fat. And I was just thinking over and over, what have you got to lose? Do it. So I went from about 25% of my calories coming from fat all the way up to 40%. And that immediately had a reaction in my body for my recovery. And I started to see my HRV climb just little bit by little bit. But almost immediately started sleeping better, like within a week. Those little kind of aches in my body from not recovering properly from one workout to the next, not injury aches and pains, but the recovery, just not recovering from between workouts, within a couple weeks, that became significantly decreased. And it just felt like I didn't have a hangover from one workout going into the other. Now, really, another thing of why this worked is because fats are one of the most main precursors to hormonal health. And yes, going through perimenopause, we need a lot of hormonal health support. And so much of it you can get from food. And for me, fats was where it was at. Oh my God, I just said that. Fats was where it was at. Yeah, I did. Within the nutrition realm of increasing your HRV, this was not a problem for me, but it is a problem for so many of the women that I've worked with one-on-one and in my app and that I speak to on Instagram, just simply not eating enough. I am fierce about eating enough quantity of food to support the amount of training I'm doing. Running the Great World Race is not a dieting endeavor for me. And any woman that is doing a really true endurance event mixed with strength training and living life, it is not something to do because you want to lose weight. Your physique might change as a result of all the things you're doing, but you must, I'm begging you, eat enough food. And a lot of people ask, what is enough? You can go on to any calculator online. You don't need a fancy one. Go to TDEEcalculator.net or .com or whatever, I don't know. And just look up what your maintenance level macros are for your activity level. There's generally an activity slider scale. Whatever those maintenance level macros are, that's where you start. That is where you start. You cannot eat below that. You will probably be doing enough activity that you'll go beyond that, but that's where to start. You must eat enough food because what I just mentioned about the fat percentage change, if you're not eating enough quantity of food to support your body, it won't matter. You can get away with it for a while, but injuries will persist, injuries will happen, life will feel miserable, your family will hate being around you because you're so moody. You'll hate being around you because you're so moody and can't emotionally regulate. You'll sleep terribly. So that is my first, please just make sure you're eating enough food. Second thing that I did to get my HRV to go from 40 to 75 on average is I got really serious about sleep. There are two amazing women that are in my life. One, her name is Dasha Agulnik, and the other, her name is Kira Foy. Dasha focuses more on gut health. Kira focuses primarily on women's hormonal health, but they both intersect in what they're specialists in because our bodies aren't in a vacuum. And they both talk about sleep in kind of different but similar ways. So I took their philosophies and blended them together. Kira, she says that we have to be like children and give ourselves a bedtime. And I realized I wasn't doing that. I was kind of like finishing whatever show I was watching. Oh, maybe I'll do this before I go to bed, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, I have an alarm on my phone now, 1 hour before I need to go to bed. And that is the sign to whatever I'm doing. The TV gets turned off. Whatever I'm doing, it is done because I needed a bedtime. We need bedtimes. And for me, because I get up at 4 a.m, you don't have to do that, by the way. But because I do, my bedtime is 8 p.m. I have all the lights in my house mostly programmed with Wi-Fi enabled lights that I can control from my phone, and you can set a schedule. At 8 p.m., all the lights in my house go off. So it's done, gone. And then my friend Dasha, she did a talk for a number of my clients a while ago, and I always remember this. I'm going to slightly butcher this, and I've abbreviated it a little bit to make it my own, but she has this 4-3-2-1 method or philosophy. 4 hours before bed, you got to stop working, doing anything that kind of could possibly raise your cortisol, your stress, your adrenaline. 4 hours. The 3, last meal. 3 hours before bed, last meal, done. 2 hours, for me, I've kind of abbreviated it in that 2 hours before, I kind of do I set out the things for the morning, the night before, because those things can kind of rattle around in your head. Any last little like notes I need to write or whatever, I need to just really make sure that I'm winding myself down. And then 1 hour before bed, I get off all screens. I read a book, nonfiction, because I don't want stuff rattling around in my brain, and then sleep. 4-3-2-1. So that helped immensely. Again, because I'm a very structured person, having that kind of structure helps sort of give structure to something that is like the most unsatisfying part of this in like going to bed. There's no glory, nothing Instagrammable going to sleep. So it gave me a sense of like, okay, I've got ownership over this. The next thing that helped take my HRV from 40 average to 75 average was looking at gut health and my non-sexy supplements. I wanted supplements that weren't being sold to me from some influencer or some longevity expert. I wanted supplements that actually supported what I needed. Gut health was number one. I did a GI map test that was incredibly helpful to know what my gut biome is doing, what it needs. So I did that, started taking gut support supplements that were specific for me. And again, this is like 2 things. Like it wasn't anything extraordinary. And I'm not going to say what they are because I don't want you to go out and get them because they were very specific for what I needed. And then as an endurance athlete that also strength trains, there were a few foundational supplements that I will mention because I don't sell them. I'm not an affiliate for any of them because I don't know who could be an affiliate for magnesium. And that was the first one. Magnesium. Again, I got to thank my friend Kira for that. I did not know how important magnesium was. Magnesium glycinate was what I started taking on her recommendation, not magnesium citrate. That was too hard on my stomach. So if you have a heart condition, please don't go rush out and get these. You need to talk to your doctor about some of these supplements. I want to be super clear about that. I'm talking very specifically about me here, but these are foundational. Magnesium, 300 milligrams a day of magnesium, a very high quality fish oil or omega-3 oil supplement. It is so powerful when you get a high quality omega supplement in reducing inflammation. Paired with that, curcumin, turmeric/curcumin. I forget exactly again, because these are not sexy, because it is such a powerful antioxidant, but also for decreasing inflammation. Because when we are training hard, we are breaking down our body and the breakdown causes inflammation. So we need to give our body the most amount of support to bring down the inflammation. Vitamin D, living in a non-sunny climate like central Canada, that place that I'm in, vitamin D is super important. Thyroid support supplements. And for me, iron. Not all women need an iron supplement. One of the things that I do every year is I go to the Cleveland Clinic of Canada. I go to their office in Toronto and I get something called an executive health assessment, and they do a blood panel analysis that is like hundreds of markers. It's one of the most comprehensive blood panel analyses that you can get. And looking at my iron, I am within a healthy range. However, I am at the lower end of the healthy range. And for an endurance athlete, what I found is that actually is a check engine light. And especially as a female endurance athlete that still has her monthly cycle. So to all measures and to traditional standards, I am within a healthy range of iron, but not for what I'm doing. And I hadn't looked at it that way. And again, with my friend Kira's help, I began taking an iron supplement that is good for your stomach. A lot of them will constipate you. This one does not constipate you. So I'm not saying rush out and go on an iron supplement. Please get your blood panels done. Iron is a pretty easy one for any medical office to do. But what I was really happy with is that I had my blood panels over time and I was pretty steady on the lower end of normal. And now that I've started taking this iron supplement with everything else, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. Wow. And I know that it was an integral part of increasing my HRV from 40 to 75. The next thing that I tackled to get my HRV from 40 to 75 was nervous system management. Again, super unsexy, nothing Instagram worthy about this, but I really had to tackle my phone usage. And it's challenging because I run my businesses through platforms online. I really had to readjust how I managed and worked online to make sure that my nervous system could come down at the end of the day, could regulate itself. The first thing I did with my phone is I gave myself parameters. Much like we have to give ourselves a bedtime, I gave myself parameters around my phone and my digital usage. Because those blue lights are actually quite harmful for our brains over a long term. Yes, blue light blocking glasses matter, but it's also the stuff you see online. So I downloaded an app called Opal, Opal. I am not affiliated with them. I just love the product. Some of my clients have gotten this thing called a brick, where you can only use your phone when it's on this brick. This app, Opal, you can set hard no-go times on your most distracting apps. So for me, from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. every day, all of my business, distracting, I say dopamine-inducing apps are blocked. Like I can't get into them, none of that. And then from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., I can get into them because those are my business hours. It actually really makes me focus my work because I can't bleed my work into the evening, which is not good. And so it's really helped me get super focused every single day. What do I need to do? Because I do kind of feel like there's a timer ticking. I've given myself parameters to be incredibly focused, getting done what I need to do because there are limits to my online use, but that actually helps me have limits in life because these devices bleed into everything, everywhere, everything that we do. And I noticed that it really, really, really was so draining for me. Within my nervous system management, I also looked at renewing my mind every day. I started to look at it like 4 vital signs. When you go to the hospital or you go to the doctor and you have a problem, they check your vital signs. They listen to your heart, they take your blood pressure, they tap on your knee, they look in your eyes, they take your temperature. Those are the vital signs they're kind of trying to piece together. And if one of them is way off, like if you've got super high blood pressure, something's off. If you've got a high temperature, something's off. So they're checking your vital signs and putting together a story. The same is true for our mental health. And I've heard some people even call this mental fitness, but I like to bring heart and soul into this is because I actually, through fitness and through this endeavor is how I'm kind of processing a lot of the world right now. So the vital signs being, how am I renewing my heart every day? What fills me up? Because a lot of work is draining. A lot of this training is draining. How am I managing myself so that I don't get calloused? Sometimes we need to go at the world like a warrior, but for me, I actually found that I was putting too many walls around my heart. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm protecting myself all the time because there's so much coming at me. So I really looked at ways in which I could be in the world, but not of the world, if that makes any sense. I'm going to get a little philosophical here. Soul management. How are we renewing our souls every day? For me, that means journaling, spending some time in prayer, being grateful, those things that fill your soul up. Because there is a lot in this world that will take away from your soul. How are you filling your soul up? All of this affects your recovery more than you think. And renewing my mind, letting go of the things that I can't control, affirming the good things I'm doing, being honest about where I'm not taking accountability, just renewing my mind daily. In the morning before I do anything else, just with my coffee, I do a little heart check, a little soul check, a little like renewing my mind check. And what that does for me is it just brings sort of the life anxiety down because it helps me release what's not mine, give up to God what I can't control, take accountability for where things I need to do. It just kind of wipes the slate clean every day. Now, this might not be for everyone, but I find it incredibly helpful to set the foundation to manage and regulate my emotions and my mind and my thoughts every day, being very careful to set a foundation every day so that I'm being very choosy with how I think, because most of the stress in our lives comes from in between our 2 ears, the brain, and what we think each day. No joke. So those things put together. And again, this formula might not be exactly your formula. I'm just talking about the things that I did that are totally within my control and might be some missing links for you if you're struggling with your HRV or recovery in your training. Make sure you are eating enough. Make sure you're getting enough fat. Do not shy away from carbs. Give yourself a bedtime. 4-3-2-1 method, super helpful. Specific supplement support that is based on what you need, not on hype or Instagram. Nervous system management, that means managing your digital usage and then renewing your mind, your heart, and your soul daily. And then track your HRV somewhere. Get an Oura ring. If you've got a Garmin, a lot of the Garmins do it, a WAP, whatever. Over time, you should see an increase. For me, I feel like my body was like just ready to soak it all in. It was like literally a matter of 4 to 6 weeks. It was so fast, and it's all within your control. I'll be very curious to see as I continue on in my Great World Race training how the increased miles do affect my HRV, what I'll need to change, what I'll need to adjust, increase, decrease, whatever. Because right now I'm in phase 2 of my training and I am running about 42 miles a week. But at least I feel now I've got an incredibly strong foundation. I feel good. I'm recovering well. I'm sleeping well. So anything that veers off of this is a very clear signal that I need to adjust something. But right now I'm not playing catch up to even begin this training, if that makes any sense. Anything else you want to know about recovery, nutrition, metrics, strength training, anything like that, please put it in the comments. If there's anything you'd like me to cover on any of these videos, please send me a note or just ask. I mean, most of these comments or most of these videos I'm creating are because of the questions that you've all sent me, the DMs that you've sent me, the messages and things like that, things you're just inquisitive about. And I love it because these are all things I've had to ask myself too. So hopefully something that I'm talking about is going to resonate for you. Take what you want, leave the rest. Thank you so much for following on this journey. Have an amazing, amazing day.